And we welcome you to another edition of On the Hash with Hatfield. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel wherever you are tuning in. We thank you for doing so here with us on Cova Sports TV. The playoffs are upon us. The pairings will be out on Sunday, released by the Virginia High School League. There's actually playoff games going on Friday. Yes, private school action. VISAA. You'll see the Division I, Division II semifinal pairings and matchups coming your way across the ticker momentarily, but we've got to begin with some interviews and some reaction to what transpired last week. Big game. Want to recap because I don't think it got enough attention just how great of a football game it was last Saturday at Darling Stadium in Hampton between the Phoebus Phantoms and the Warwick Raiders. For many, many years, the game of the year in the PD was Phoebus and Hampton. You go to those late 90s, early 2000s showdowns, back when Tyrod Taylor and when Taj Boyd were quarterbacking their respective teams. Even before them, when you had greats like Antoine Romeir running the football for Phoebus, and you had Hampton with its studs, the likes of Ronald Curry, Marcus Hagans. The list goes on and on of some of the stars that have come out of those two story programs. Even before Hampton Phoebus, it was Hampton and Bethel in the early 90s when you had Allen Iverson win a championship on the gridiron, also one on the hardwood, and people know what a decorated multi-sport athlete he was. Didn't have the maybe most enjoyable finish at Bethel High before going on to Georgetown and winning an MVP in the NBA with the Philadelphia 76ers, part of his storied Hall of Fame career. But the legendary games at Darling and Todd Stadiums, we could spend hours on them. Nonetheless, the game that took place last Saturday at Darling in Hampton was one for the ages. As Phoebus was up in that game, Warwick made it closer. Some missed field goals by the Phantoms certainly had an effect on that transpiring. And then you had the tide turn a little bit, the twist in the fourth quarter where it was Warwick striking. They had that earlier answer with Julio Character's return on special teams for a score, and Character used to play for Phoebus, now with the Raiders. Tyree Diggs, by the way, used to play with the Raiders, now with the Phantoms. And Warwick gets the answer with Keon Batts, a fourth down touchdown pass. Corey Hairston daring and goes for it. It's answered, though, by Jeremy Blunt on 4th and 8, a 50-plus yard completion to none other than Romeir Smith, who had 5 catches for a $105 and a TD on the day, and Makai Hill's 9-yard TD on 3rd and 8, able to finish it off. Then they get Trenton Mitchell with the pick 6 to ice the win, 27-17. Didn't look as close as I should say the final score didn't make it look as close as it really was in the closing minutes where people were biting their fingernails at Darling Stadium in Hampton. Phoebus did outgain Warwick 304 to 179 in that football game. And you're right, Woodrow Wagner, who chimes in with us. Awesome game, one play away from winning. We've got some sound from that game. You're going to hear from a couple of the standout players and the coach of the Phantoms in Jeremy Blunt. Let's start off with the standout players. The young quarterback who last year had that 86-yard TD pass. Oh, he's as cool as a cucumber. Maurikus Banks. He's QB1, one of many really quality sophomore triggermen in the 757 area code as Phoebus marched on its winning streak to now 44 games, longest in the state. They're going to try to break their own record in the state for consecutive wins, which they have shared with Riverheads. Let's see what Maurikus Banks told us on the Hash with Hatfield on this Friday afternoon, getting ready for all the football action.
All right, I'm here with the Phoebus sophomore quarterback Maurikus Banks. Phantoms win a Florida today, 27-17 over Warwick in the Peninsula District Game of the Year on a Saturday in November. You guys are 9-0 now, Maurikus. It's now 44 and counting overall, 67 straight district victories against opponents from the PD. What can you say, 4th and 8? You're at your own 22 with 3:21 to go. Coach Blunt calls a timeout. You throw the ball down the middle of the field, and Romeir Smith has it get tipped a couple times, makes the play. But you've been here before. You played in the state championship last year, so you're used to these drama moments. Tell me about this win.
Really, it was just we coming out and execute the game plan. Everybody else looking at it like, oh, it's a big game. I look at it like just a regular Peninsula game. On the 4th and 8, I was just give my guy a chance. I seen that the original read wasn't there. Rowe was on fire with the deep ball all day, and I was just like, give it to him, let him be him.
As it gets tipped initially, are you thinking, oh no, he's not going to pull it in, or did you say, oh, he's got this?
I knew he had it.
Okay.
That's him. Deep ball and going to get the ball. He relentless, and when it comes to those situations.
You still had to go score because it was 17-14. You'd missed some field goals as a team. Third down play inside the 10. Tell me about the one with Makai Hill as you were able to just keep the play alive, find him in traffic. What you saw on that one?
See, me and Makai, that's actually like one of my closest friends. We were real good friends, and we work every Sunday. So does Ro. We all work, come outside every Sunday, get work in. So I knew, find him, and he's gonna make a play. And he told me before the game, actually, he was like, "Yo, find me. I'm gonna make a play for you. I got you."
Now, you didn't play in this game last year, did you? 10-2. Were you on the field for this game against them? I forget if you were.
Last year?
Yeah.
No, sir. I ain't getting in last year.
So last year it was built as a defensive battle. Today, for the offense, for you to throw for 226, I know there's some things you still want to work on, but how much did you want to go pro? All right, we can move the ball in this defense. People say they're dominant. They got a great defense. You got a dominant defense. How much did you want to go prove that you can go out there and make some plays out there? And what was kind of the thought going in?
Actually, like I said, I was just looking at it as just a regular Peninsula game, and yeah, they got a tough defense, but I believe in my guys. I believe in the work we put in all week, and we put in a lot of work during the off season, prepping for this year, and so we could be a nice sound offense.
Mm-hmm. Last two for you. You win this game, packed house. What's this feel like? I mean, certainly the job is not done. You still want to go get a region championship, state championship, four-peat, but to win it the way you did, where it looked like you were down and out, it has to build some things in terms of character, right?
Yes, sir. We love environments like this. We wouldn't want it any other way. It was, their sideline was packed just like ours, but hey, at the end of the day, it matters about what's going on in between the lines.
And lastly, what do you hope people take away from this football game, the fans, those watching all over the world about Phoebus football? Because, I mean, people are trying to knock you all off, but you responded to the pressure, and I know you still are excited about what's ahead.
What I got to say is never count us out. Everybody, after we went down, everybody started to cheer. Their sideline started to cheer a lot. Ours tend to got a little down, but just trust us. We're going to make sure we come out with the victory every time. We're going to give it our all 100%.
Watch out for him, Maurikus Banks, just a sophomore, Phoebus Phantoms. They keep it rolling. Thank you so much. All the best.
You're welcome.
Great job. Good work, man.
So that was Maurikus Banks. What a game he had for the Phoebus Phantoms as they won it 27-17. Iron will of a champion. This was the word that came to mind for me later in reflection, riveting. It reminded me a lot of those old school games. I actually shared some back and forth email messages with someone that interacts and watches our show a lot, Lynn Burke, on our 757 Saturday Sports Talk program that airs here on Cova Sports TV each and every Saturday morning. You can check it out with me and the coach, Ed Young, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Some mornings about 10 a.m. to about 12 noon, which is what we'll probably go this coming Saturday, the 9th of November. But Banks he's got that poise. I've said it before. He reminds me a lot of Sean Mitchell. I brought that up to Coach Jeremy Blunt, who you'll hear from in a moment. But what a win that was for the Phantoms, 9-0. And Warwick did a lot of things well in defeat, and that happens sometimes. Another young man we want to hear from, though, for the Phantoms that was really the unsung hero. We watched him in the spring at their college showcase day, and Phoebus comes up with gems like these often. And they're not the only program. Highland Springs comes to mind. Oscar Smith comes to mind. Maury comes to mind. There's a lot of programs around the state. Salem out in the western part of the state comes to mind in Roanoke that will have these players that end up being the late bloomers, the unsung senior that where was he the last couple of years in the championship teams? This is his breakout year moment. And he had a bad moment earlier in the game where he was the reason why they had to use a timeout and almost got a penalty. But we're talking about Romeir Smith, who had a couple of just dazzling catches in this ball game, 5 grabs for a $105 and a score. We caught up with him after the victory. Here it is on The Hash with Hatfield on Cova Sports TV.
All right, here with Phoebus wide receiver Romeir Smith. He makes a big play, 4th and 8. His team down 17-14, a 56-yard catch, and the Phantoms come from behind to win it 27-17 over Warwick. All right, you're a senior, right?
Yes, sir.
This is one of the more thrilling games you guys have ever played. And I know last year you went on a state championship final play of the game against Salem, but this one's got to be pretty sweet, isn't it?
Yes, sir, you already know, man. These moments is about just staying calm, you know what I'm saying? Stand to your process. Can't fail.
How poised is your quarterback? It's 4th and 8. We're all thinking in the box, well, you got timeouts, you might punt it again. Your coaches have confidence in you to make a play. He's got confidence in you to make a play. And my goodness, you had a nice 132-yard snag early in the game, but that was trumped by that catch at the end. Tell me about that play as it's bobbled and you somehow pulled it in.
Hey, man, like I said, you got to stay calm, you know what I'm saying? Stay to your process. You know you're going up for the ball, you know what I'm saying? You got to come back down for it. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Was there ever a doubt that you might not win this game, especially when they had that big touchdown that stunned you on 4th down themselves?
No, sir, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, we've been here before. You know what I'm saying?
Well, last year was a 10-2 defensive slugfest. This was a defensive game, but 2 big 4th down plays. Your offense today delivered. I know you missed some field goals, didn't finish some drives, but what's this say about Phoebus? I mean, certainly you have a championship defense. You have dogs and balls over the field, but your offense really stepped it up when you needed to today.
Hey, man, that guy right there, championship mentality, man. That's all
Coach Blunt, you told me to? Okay.
You already know.
Yeah. You're a senior now. You're a big Lincoln guy. You're getting some recruiting attention. Who's looking at the picture you're in? You got a couple offers, right?
Yes, sir. Interest from UVA, okay. ODU. I got HU, okay. VIU. That's all. That's all.
Okay. What are you looking for in a school?
Shoot, man. Good program that I can grow.
Sure. How about this program? You guys now have won 44 in a row. The job's not done, but this one's a game you can build off of. What do you take out of this game today? Packed house. It had to be pretty cool on a Saturday to see the stands filled and everybody rooting for the Phantoms or the Warriors, but in your case, you guys had the people roaring at the end.
Yes, sir. Shoot, man. It's unbelievable feeling, man. You know what I'm saying? We live for games like this, so love it.
Hey, number 8 in the Phantoms delivered today, Romeir, Smith, and Phoebus. They keep the beat going on. Thanks so much. All the best. Good win.
He was excited to chat with us after the game, Romeir Smith, the Phoebus Phantoms. It makes you smile and really appreciate what these moments are for these young high school kids. And your heart goes out to Warwick because, like I mentioned earlier, 9-1, 2 years in a row. They've had a heck of a defense, and they certainly know how to perform under the lights. They just didn't make that extra play that Phoebus finds a way to do. And you'd also do wonder about it for Warwick. What if they had Messiah Delome, who broke his leg in the spring and May? Now, how's this going to impact these two teams for the playoffs? Phoebus is the 1 seed. They got Denby to close up. No matter what happens, they're locked in Region 4A. And from a power rating perspective, across the state board, they look to be that number 1 seed, no matter who they play, we do believe. However, 4B could have a Verina, someone with a better power rating. The only thing is this year they wouldn't see 4B in the state semis. They're going to see 4D as A plays D and B plays C. So they're going to finish with a better power rating than GW Danville, Jefferson Forest, Sharando, Salem, and so on and so forth. John Champ Tuscarora's got to do the same situation for whoever comes out of 4B, whether that's Verina, Dinwiddie, Huguenot, or other. Take your pick. As for Warwick, people have been asking me all week. We've been crunching the numbers. We'll show you some numbers coming up in our next segment of the program. What's their seed? Hard to believe this. Warwick, who was just a play away from beating Phoebus, it does appear based on our calculations, we're about 90% in maybe 95% right about this. And you are right, Woodrow, 44 in a row, longest in the state. Not going to get touched. I think the next longest is Maury at 24 in a row, Liberty Christian at 22 consecutive, if memory serves me right on those two fronts. Maury in Class 5. We'll get to them later on the show, taking on Granby Friday night, and LCA with a big battle against Jefferson Forest. You can get updates from a couple of our good pals and friends and my cohorts on Cova Sports TV and VirginiaPreps.com. Jack Lowe will be at the Maury Granby game for us at Powhatan Field, while it'll be our man Robert Edmonds from VirginiaPreps.com with updates on the X or the Twitter and a recap later on Virginia Preps with the Jefferson Forest LCA game. But back to Warwick for a second. Warwick, what's it looking like for them? Probably a number 4 seed. They're going to probably get jumped by Nansman River should they prevail on Friday night in its regular season finale. The Raiders season is done at 9-1, so it does look like they will be in the 4-5 game, most likely against, believe it or not, the Granby Comets. And even if Granby was to beat Maury, which we don't think will happen, could happen, I mean, anything is possible, Granby could actually, believe it or not, finish 10-0 in Region 5B with Maury, Kings Fork, Warwick, Nansman River, and still be a 5 seed. Tell me that's not crazy. You say, how is that possible? It doesn't make any sense. The old format, they'd go 10-0 and miss the playoffs, which would be, unfathomable unless you had rules that say district champion goes. Well, their power rating got no help from playing the likes of Denby, Lakeland, Kickingham. All could finish a combined 4-26. So, and the Eastern District had some teams that didn't have great years, like a Manor, like a Norview, like a Booker T. Washington. Lake Taylor's maximum win count would be 3, which is not typical for them. So it brings their power rating down despite a better record than those Suffolk schools in the Southeastern District and a Peninsula school from Newport News like Warwick. I do think Warwick's defense stood up well. I mean, the whole Phoebus rushing-wise to 78 yards on 33 attempts is quite a deal, but nonetheless, Phoebus, they get it done. You're going to hear later on in the program from our IL Giardino Coach of the Week, Jeremy Blunt. Congrats to him on that. Well-deserved, 44 in a row and counting. The PD streak is almost at 70. He is the Coach of the Week and in many people's eyes, Coach of the Year. Excellent job he's done. That's coming up later in the show. You will also unveil our Chicho's Pizza 757 Football Player of the Week from this past week. Got a leading candidate in the clubhouse from a Thursday game out of the PD, for the regular season finale for next week's show before our playoff preview episode comes your way. But before we take our time out, there was some action on Friday night in the Beach District last week that had some impact on things. One of those key games, Bayside Ocean Lakes. We'll break down Region 5A coming up, what it's looking like there. We heard from Coach John White of the Bayside Marlins, whose team won 20-7 on last weekend's episode of 757 Saturday Sports Talk. If you missed it, want to see it, don't know what we're talking about, you can find it on virginiapreps.com, or more importantly, on our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel. Just find last week's episode under the 757 Sports Talk playlist, and you'll see that interview with Coach White. It's also on my YouTube page personally, and virginiapreps.com's got it too archived. But let's hear from a couple of the standouts from the Bayside Marlins win on Friday over Ocean Lakes, both of whom had interceptions, and both of whom ran the football very effectively as the Marlins ran for $150. We're talking about two seniors, number 2, Amir, Lyde, and number 0, Zavion, Guidry. Here they are with us on The Hash with Hatfield on Cova Sports TV.
All right, here with a couple of the Bayside Marlins seniors. We've got number 2, Amir Lyde, who had himself a pick tonight, touchdown run, and number 0, Zavion Guidry, also in on the defensive act and found the end zone as the Marlins went tonight 20-7 over the Ocean Lakes Dolphins. Amir, tell me about how this one felt tonight. You got a rushing TD, and it looked like you might not remember a guy named Ron Dayton who played in the NFL Wisconsin Badgers, but you ran with some power tonight and authority on that score. Tell me about it.
Yes, sir. Hey, we got to come out here and work hard. From now on, we're on death row. I got to give it all I got. This is my last year. I got to come through, come in clutch for the guys. You know what I'm saying? We got to do whatever we got to do to win. I feel like we all we got. We got to come through clutch, do anything for the win.
And Zavion, Amir just talked about it. You guys seem like you were left for dead after the Green Run game here on homecoming, but you've responded. 2 quality wins over Kellum and Ocean Lakes tonight. You probably are in the playoffs. Still got a game to go with Tallwood. It's important. How's this one feel to win this one kind of gritty, if you will?
It feels great to win tonight. As my twin said, we on death row right now, so every game matters right now. We trying to win the playoffs, go to states. Feels great to win tonight.
Sure. You're known for playing defense, but you got your number called a couple times running the rock. How did it feel for you to get the end zone, especially in the red zone? Because, that's your time to kind of play power football, right?
Yeah, it felt great. I like scoring. I like playing defense too, but it feels great, though.
Sure. For you guys, Amir, let's turn back to you for a second. I mean, against them defensively, what was kind of the strategy? Because they came in averaging 34 points a game. They just get 1 score tonight. How did you shut them down pretty much?
So we know they had a mobile quarterback. The only thing, they can't run the ball on us. Our defense, we start run. So you're going to have to pass the ball regardless.
Sure.
So we start to run. You got to pass, and that's not gonna happen with the DBs that we got and stuff like that. So the game plan was to keep the quarterback rolling out the pocket and stuff like that. Yeah. And he can't throw for us, so we got to make him make a crazy throw. That's how we got a lot of interceptions tonight.
2 more for you guys. Zavion, how much did Coach White, even though you won last week against Kellum, talk about the penalties? You had over 200 yards against Kellum tonight. Only about 80, which is still a lot, but you made improvement. How much was that a point of emphasis not to beat yourself, if you will?
Yeah, that's a big point of emphasis for us. Every week, we do get a lot of penalties, and to limit that to only 80 tonight, as you said, last week we had 200. That's great for us.
And for both of you guys, you got senior night coming up against Tallwood. You want to win that one and finish with a winning record, which people might not have expected from Bayside to start the year. How do you guys finish strong and go into the playoffs on a high note?
We got to keep the momentum up. Tallwood, they've been talking a lot of junk. So we coming through with a bang. Okay. Come through with a bang. Yeah, we're gonna show them too. Like they was talking a lot of junk before this game too. So we just gonna keep our mouth closed and show them when it's time to put the pads on. Let the pads talk. That's all we do.
Well, 0 and 2 not only make plays on defense, but they run the rock in the red zone too. Amir, Lyde, Zavion, Guidry get the win tonight. Thanks so much, guys. All the best.
Hey, they don't have to clam up and get too shy when the camera comes on. A couple of the Bayside Marlins after their win that almost 99% were certain they're going to the playoffs unless a couple of crazy results happen. Zavion Guidry and Amir Lyde. Guidry had a TD run. Lyde had a TD run. They both had INTs as Bayside prevailed over Ocean Lakes 20-7. And Ocean Lakes came in averaging over 34 points per game, and now it puts Ocean Lakes in jeopardy of missing it. But they should get in. We'll break it down coming up. The 5A picture, the 6A picture, the 4A picture. Go through our latest Virginia Prep State Top Tens, Chicho's Pizza Player of the Week. Give you some assessment of the games for this week, and Jeremy Blunt. It's all coming your way here on The Hash with Hatfield. Make sure you hit that like button, that share button, and definitely hit that subscribe button with us on Cova Sports TV as we bring you everything in the world of high school sports, local sports, and sports all around the Commonwealth of VA. And don't forget that coming up later this month, the Neptune Bowl will be hitting the Sportsplex in Virginia Beach. What is that? Well, you can find out about it right here.
Get ready for the Neptune Bowl presented by DoubleTree by Hilton on November 23rd, 2024 at the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Tailgating starts at 10 a.m. Grab your passes for just $50. Gates open at 12:30 with kickoff at 2 p.m. Advance tickets are only $20 or $25 at the gate on game day. Don't miss the third annual Neptune Bowl featuring a dynamic matchup between the Apprentice School Builders and the Atlantis University Atlanteans. Visit beachsportsplex.com to learn more today and secure your spot.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
And we're back here on the hash with Hatfield. Hit that like button, that share button, that subscribe button to Cova Sports TV, wherever you're tuning in, via Twitter or X or VirginiaPreps.com, Apple, Spotify, Facebook, LinkedIn. We thank you all for interacting. Instagram, too. We do go live with IG specials. Not sure about Friday night into Saturday morning. Got a lot on my plate this weekend with ODU women's hoops and so on and so forth, and breaking down some playoff numbers, which is going to be my main point of emphasis after the Hats. We're going to effort it, and we'll definitely be on with 757 Saturday Sports Talk. So keep an eye. It might be an extra abbreviated Hats Hits IG Live special. We'll see what the time allows us for all of you out there, but we do effort it for you. Let's get into what is going on in the world of high school football for the playoff power ratings and the projections and what we can expect. And by the way, you just heard from a couple of Bayside Marlins. We'll start with 5A. And before we start with 5A, let's do a salute to our latest Chicho's Pizza 757 football player of the week. You just saw Chicho's on the last reel of commercials. Kasir Patterson, he's the second Salem Sun Devil to get this honor this season, to go with running back Willie Moore. Got a lot of talent on this team. You heard from in the summertime, quarterback Jason Scooter Williams, who's going to the Naval Academy. Wide receiver, defensive back Fabian Wells, who's headed to Howard. And this class of 2027 talent is a good one, a mighty good one, because he's already getting a lot of Power 5 schools recruiting him. In fact, on the season now, Mr. Kasir Patterson, after his 4 TD effort in a 55-20 win over the Tallwood Lions, I should say, is up to 36 catches for 36 catches for 824 yards and 10 TDs. So we're talking 36 grabs, 824, and 10 tutties. Congrats to Kasir Patterson. You'll be getting something soon from, we believe, our good friends at Chicho's, and you'll get your plaque. And we thank you for checking our action out every week and also balling out on Friday nights so we can honor you and recognize you for your talents. So big congrats to you, our latest Chicho's Pizza 757 football player of the week. All right, now that is out of the way, let's get to the playoff projections we were just talking about, and you can see on the screen here, I'm going to dig into some of this. We'll start in 5A. Number 1 seed as we go to the 5A picture, and we've got it kind of broken down in much simpler terms for folks for 5A. for the projections. You'll see it coming up here as I put it up on the screen. Here we go. That's going to help a little bit. And you can see as I move my mouse here, this is going to be really tricky. So we'll have the ticker just roll across with college football and NFL stuff as we go. So you say, what does this all mean? This is all like it's, a different language here. So let me just type it up for you in very simple terms. What we expect to have happen. We expect Green Run to be the one at 10-0. We're expecting Ocean Lakes to be the 8 seed at 5-5. Your 4-5 bracket is probably going to look like this. If Cox and Kempsville end up with the Falcons finishing 9-1 and the Chiefs finishing 7-3, this will not be complicated whatsoever. However, if Kempsville is to beat Cox, which is quite possible, last year, if you remember, in the playoffs, they won in the first round, 7-2 upset. Kempsville won on a blocked field goal return for a score. If Kempsville is to win again, you're going to have a three-way tie for the number 2 seed. We'll bold it right here at 29.4. Yes, 29.4, and that's going to be with Salem, with Cox, and with Kempsville. We'll zoom in because people probably can't see and squint some of the action that I've got up here for you on the screen. Three-way tie if, in fact, that happens. Kempsville beating Cox. If it doesn't happen and things get simpler, then it's pretty cut and dry what we'll see. Indian River will be your number 4 seed, and we'll project them out at 7-3. Your 5 seed will be Kempsville, who will project out at 7-3 because they would lose that game, not finish 8-2 like the Falcons and Sun Devils. Falcons would actually, if the Falcons lost, they'd be 8-2. Falcons win, they're 9-1. Meanwhile, you've got Salem playing Princess Anne, which we expect that to be a Salem victory. So they probably have the number 2 seed. You would say a tie. However, if Cox wins, they're not a 2 seed. They're a 3 seed. So what you expect with that is you would think that you get Salem in the 3 line at 8-2. And then you say, who is your 6 and who is your 7? If Cox is your 2 at 9-1. You would probably get the tiebreaker go to Bayside because Deep Creek with a win over Lakeland 5-5. Bayside will have the same power rating we project at 6-4 if they beat Tallwood. But if Bayside loses to Tallwood, they could slip down. They don't, with the loss, slip behind Ocean Lakes unless somehow Ocean Lakes is to stun Green Run, which we don't expect because Green Run's going for a 4th straight unbeaten regular season, and that's what I'm projecting out here at this particular moment. Will it happen that way? My analytics department, my computers say, Mr. Hatfield, you got about a 68% chance of this happening as your 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5 matchups. Green Run, Ocean Lakes, Cox, Deep Creek, Salem, Bayside, Indian River, Kempsville. Pick out your favorite matchup in the first round. You get a couple of beach rematches. Beach Southeastern, which happened during the COVID year when Deep Creek beat Cox. I think that's when it was, when they played each other. And then you also get the Indian River Kempsville matchup, which is a rematch of last year's region semi. Indian River rallying to win it before them beating Green Run on the road on their way to the state semis, where Maury just took them apart and thumped them. All right, so we took care of 5A. What about 5B for a second here? Let's go to 5B and the simulations. And my computer is not going to help me out here. So you'll see on the screen as we zoom in now a little bit, some of the projections, best case, worst case, and the whole deal with that. So let me just break it down to you this, and I'll take it off the screen for a second, and I'll put it back on. 5B, Maury is a 1 seed if they win. There's no way Kings Fork catches them. If Kings Fork beats its final opponent, which is Hickory, and by the way, Hickory's only hope to get in 5A is to stun Kings Fork, because if they stun Kings Fork, they will leapfrog Ocean Lakes in there, provided the Dolphins do lose to Green Run. So the teams are pretty much solidified. Kellum, you can't get in, you're out. Tallwood, you can't get in, I'm sorry, you're out. Who else is on the bubble? Great Bridge, not getting in. Pretty much you're down to 9 teams for the 8 slots is what it looks like. So the only team that could jump its way in is Hickory, and they could maybe leapfrog a Deep Creek, a Bayside, or Ocean Lakes should the Marlins fall in the banana peel against Tallwood and Hickory win, should the Hornets fall in the banana peel against Lakeland and Hickory wins, and should Ocean Lakes lose and Hickory win, then Ocean Lakes would be the odd man out. So even though the Dolphins have gone from 4-0 to a 5-5 finish, potentially barring a win over Green Run tonight, that's what it looks like. So let's get to 5B now. Maury's the 1 seed with the win. It's simple as that. Lose it, and it's not going to be, your seed. It's going to be Kings Fork. So Granby's hoping to win the quote-unquote Norfolk Super Bowl, even though Maury has won its last 6 meetings with Granby by no less than 49 points. So take that for what you like. Your 2 seeds, Kings Fork with a win, only get jumped should they lose to Hickory. After that, the 3 and the 4 seed, we just talked about it a little bit ago, Warwick's projected rating from what we've got on the screen is 30.2. Nansemond River was 30.3, even if Bethel was to lose to Mitchell, which they didn't. And Oscar Smith beats Western Branch, Kings Fork beats Hickory, 30.3 is what we expect. So Nansemond River is going to probably get a 30.5. Only way Warwick gets that is if Grassfield beats Indian River and Denby beats Phoebus. And if both those things happen, I'll buy 10 people that watch this show a steak from their favorite steak restaurant. So it's not going to happen, okay? I got to buy my dad a steak for his birthday, which was yesterday. So, funds are a little tight. So you're not getting steaks, folks. Hate to tell you. That's not going to happen. So your 5B, you say, what's it looking like, Matt? Break it down. You're giving me all these numbers. I don't really care about. Let me give it to you what's going to happen. Here's what you're going to get in 5B, and we'll zoom in on it. This is what you're going to get, folks. I'm going to give it to you right now. What you're going to get is you're going to get Maury's the 1 at 10-0. They're going to play the 8 seed, which is Woodside at 5-5. Your 4-5 is going to be the 4 seed Warwick at 9-1. The 5 seed Granby at 9-1. This is projections, folks. I know you're saying this isn't a done deal, and I'm sliding or disrespecting Granby here. I'm not doing that. Your 2-7 is going to be Kings Fork at 9-1. Your 7, it's locked up Menchville, who lost to Bethel, 5-5. Then your 3-6, which is interesting to me, 8-2 Nansemond River. Yeah, I'm giving them a win. Sorry, Great Bridge. I don't think you're beating them. And your 6th seed is going to be Bethel, who won to finish up 6-4. What a job by Amari Pryor running the football for David Porter's Bruins. That's what you're looking at there in 5B coming up next week. Maury's the favorite, but how about the intrigue and spice of possibly a Maury-Warwick rematch of last year's region final in the semifinal round? And Nansemond's got to play Bethel, who they beat in week 1. Bethel's a different team now than they were before. Meanwhile, you could get a Suffolk rematch in the semis from a game that was like 32-27 this year. Barn burner out there between Kings Fork and Nansemond River, 2 Suffolk rivals. We got to see about the health of Tyrell Grant at quarterback. Is he coming back or not? Tavon Douglas has done well, filling in for him, and what the Warriors have cooking over there in Suffolk for possibly the Bulldogs should they get by the Bruins in round number 1. What about 6A? What about 4A? What about 3A? We could spend hours and hours upon this. People are getting ready for the football games, and we're not going to spend hours and hours upon it. So I'll give you the quick skinny. We'll show you the screen and the brackets here and my notes to help you see some of this as we zoom into some other regions here. Let's go to 6A now, where things are a little clearer at the top. Manchester and Dale are going to be in the 4-5. So we'll just put that up there on the screen. Thomas Dale was able to win its game on Thursday night over Petersburg, 2-score game. Meanwhile, Oscar Smith is the 1 seed. They've clinched it, 10-0 for them. I'm projecting. Sorry, Western Branch. I'm just giving the Tigers a win here. What's your 2-7? What's your 4-5? Highland Springs is going to be your 2 seed, I do believe, at 7-3. I don't think they're going to lose to Hanover. We'll figure out the 7 as we move it along here. Your 4-5, I should say your 4-5 because I'm discounting the 8 seed. So that's your 4-5 matchup. 3-6. Now your 3 seed is looking like Glen Allen to me at 9-1. And you say, how did they finish behind Highland Springs? Well, Highland Springs played Phoebus. They played Maury. There it is back on the screen. There we go. Sorry about that, folks. They played Maury. They played Phoebus. They lost to Verona last week. That's why they're going to be a 3 seed, and it's not going to be Highland Springs unless they lose to Hanover. Your 6 seed, what it's looking like right now is Western Branch, which we're going to have, as I go back to the screen here, Western Branch at a record of 5-5, I think. Let me just double check that with the standings. My head's all over the place right now. Let's make sure that's right. Western Branch 5-5. Western Branch is going to be 4-6. So I beg your pardon. They're not going to be 5-5. They're going to be 4-6. So here you go. Now it gets tricky. Who's your 7? Who's your 8? As we have it on the screen for you. Your 7 and 8 is going to be pretty much determined by what happens in that Lansdowne-Kellum game. If Lansdowne wins, you see their projection on the screen, 24-5. That's going to be better than the Richmond Schools, Deep Run, Cosby, Meadowbrook, and Grassfield, unless somehow they were to beat Indian River, which I'm not expecting. I have the Grizzlies probably getting in, even with a loss at 2-8, because their loss is going to probably stay ahead of Deep Run, Cosby, Meadowbrook. Western Branch projected with a loss, 26, you're safe. You're pretty much in. Lansdowne, you lose it. I don't like your outlook with Cosby, Meadowbrook, Deep Run. So the Lansdowne-Kellum game is a total toss-up. Both Coach Young and I having the picks Lansdowne winning it. They're much younger. The last 2 years has been a one-score game. Kellam won it in 22. Lansdowne won it in 23, but more is at stake for them than Kellam. So really it's almost a win and you're in type of deal for Lansdowne. And Grassfield, not necessarily the case. You can still lose it and get in, which is bizarre in a lot of respects because Lansdowne with the loss, as we show the standings here, the Tidewater standings on the screen, you'll see this here. I think you can see. I don't know why it's still on that same page. For some reason, I've got that clicked here on the power ratings. Lansdowne's at 3-6. They'd be 3-7. Grassfield would be 2-8. So again, power ratings very tricky sometimes this time of year. And we'll go through some other divisions across the state outside of the local regions here in Hampton Roads. People are wondering about some of the other matchups we got for you with the power ratings. So let's get to it for the other divisions. So we touched on 6A. We touched on 5A, 5B. What about 4A? So let's go to 4A. Hampton Smithfield. We know Phoebus is the 1 seed. Hampton's going to get the 2 seed, right? They won. Smithfield had that rousing comeback. Well, no. Smithfield took care of business against Tab on Thursday night, projecting Hampton to get a 26.5 rating, 26.6 if Denby stuns Phoebus, 26.4 if King George loses. Meanwhile, you got Smithfield at 26.7 projected by us. Looks like they're going to have a better rating than Hampton. What does that mean? Hampton's off this week. Smithfield 8-2. Crabbers with the record at 7-3. So the Crabbers are going to end up having to play next week against Denby. We project into 3-6 matchup. That's our projection. So we'll put it up on the screen for you, help you out. So your projection for it in 4A is going to be like this. It's going to be like this. We'll help you out with the standings, or I'll try to help myself out because I'm all over the place right now, ladies and gents. So your 1's going to be Phoebus. They got the bye, 10-0. Your 2 is going to be Smithfield, SHS, 8-2. So then what's your 3, 6, and 4, 5 matchups? Your 3 is going to be Hampton, 7-3. Your 6 is going to be Denby, 2-8 for Tommy Reeman's Patriots. We'll see if we can extend that. Oh, that extends out too far out. We'll just move it a little bit. How about that? Let's move the goalpost a little bit. There we go. There we go. And then your 4 is going to be Churchland, CHS at 5-5. They should beat Manor this evening. Meanwhile, you're going to be looking at your other seed being Warhill. 4-5 tonight are they. We've got them getting the win to get to 5-5. Warhill's got I guess you could say it's a sneaky game because Jamestown's improved, but they should beat winless Jamestown here in this spot. So that's what we're looking at for your playoff ratings projections there in 4A. All your outlets can check this out later and tell me how right or wrong I was, and I'm sure they'll be yakking about it. So there you have it. That's what it looks like in 4A. Let's get to 3A and 2A as the time's a little limited here. I don't want to spend, again, an inordinate amount of time on this to bore the people to tears. In 3B, by the way, Thomas Jefferson clinches a 1 seed with a win over Colonial Heights. Kettle Run clinches a 1 seed with the win, and Thomas Jefferson losing to Colonial Heights. Armstrong's locked in as the 3 seed. So let's get to our 3A stuff here. Lafayette clinched the 1 seed. They were a winner on Thursday night, and they prevailed in its game over Pocosin. We'll have more on that with 757 Saturday Sports Talk. And then you're also going to get a matchup coming up with the Hopewell Blue Devils and Prince George. Hopewell gets the 2 seed with a win over Prince George. Norcom gets it with a win over Booker T, and Prince George beating Hopewell. So that's what it looks like for the 2 seed. Colonial Heights, they're the 4 seed likely with a win or a loss, but they can get up to 3 if they win and TJ and Hopewell both lose. New Kent needs to win and get in. What's most likely going to play out here, we talked about a 3-way tie in 5A. 3-way tie is going to probably play out in 3A. And I say that because what we're looking at in 3A is New Kent. We're looking at them and Bruton. That can really throw a monkey wrench in the whole 3A picture, which is why I can't give you a real strong feel on the projection. But Tab, who lost to Smithfield, closed out 4-6. You got them. You got Petersburg, 2-8. They're done. Tab is done at 4-6, and Heritage at 3-7. All likely going to be at 19.6 when we do the math on Friday night. That's a three-way tie for the 5, 6, and 7 seed. So we can't say with any certainty how that's going to be broken in terms of who plays who, but it looks like Tabs the 5 inside track, Heritage the 6 inside track, Petersburg the 7 inside track, and whether York is in or out depends on their game with Grafton and if New Kent beats Bruton. New Kent can jump all the way ahead of those teams and get in, get themselves that victory, redeem themselves from blowing the 31-7 lead against Smithfield and win their 4th game in 6 tries, with the only losses being to Pocosin and Smithfield, 2 teams that went 8-2, 9-1 respectively, or they can be out with a loss to Bruton, who's 8-1. So that's what it looks like there in 3A. 2A, Pocosin's clinched the 1 seed. King William's clinched a berth, currently the 7 seed. Because Amelia has decided not to play its last game, lack of players, they played Central Lunenburg last week. They're out from the playoffs from what our understanding is. We'll get clarification come Sunday. So James Monroe. John Marshall or Randolph Henry is likely going to be the number 8 seed to play Pocosin in the first round. Lunenburg's in there in the 4th slot. Southampton's in there at the 3 slot. Can jump Bruton to the 2 if Bruton slips up and loses to New Kent. And Southampton takes care of business against Franklin. So there you have it. Cortland can move up at 4B from 6-4 by beating Eastern View. Verona's got the 1. Dinwiddie can beat Matoka and get the 1. Huguenot looking like the best team. Doesn't look like it's going to be the 1 seed from my estimation. That's no disrespect or slight towards Dinwiddie or towards Verona, who got that great win over Highland Springs last week and has looked terrific since the season opening double overtime loss to Indian River. And we know what Dinwiddie can do behind Harry Dalton. So that pretty much takes care of most everything. There you have it. So let's move it along here. It is On the Hash with Hatfield. At this particular time, we're going to take a timeout, come back with more, including Jeremy Blunt's conversation with us, and put a ribbon on this show with some thoughts on the games coming up here. And let's now hear from some of the sponsors that make it possible for us to do this with you each and every week on Cove Sports TV. And one of those sponsors, our good friends at Town Bank.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Is this really happening?
He's not gonna pick her. No.
Reese's Pieces and cookie dough together in a DQ blizzard.
I wonder if they're still together. No.
Spoiler alert, the Reese's Pieces cookie dough blizzard is like really good. DQ, happy tastes good.
After more than 50 years of innovation, AstroTurf still leads the way. The inventor of artificial turf does it all, right here in the USA. We engineer, test, manufacture, and install the world's most innovative fibers and turf technologies, with over 30,000 tracks and fields worldwide. AstroTurf, powered by Sport Group.
And we're back here on the Hash with Hatfield. Like, share, and subscribe to our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel, wherever you may be tuning in. We thank you for doing so here on this particular eve of the weekend. Halloween's in the rearview mirror. We've turned the calendar from October to November. And as we teased you earlier in the show, we had a conversation with the head football coach of the program that's won not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive state titles on the drive for a 4-peat. And that program being the Phoebus Phantoms, in the direction of one Jeremy Blunt. Here's what Coach Jeremy Blunt told us after their big win over their opponent, the Warwick Raiders, last Saturday at Darling Stadium in Hampton. Let's catch that conversation now on Cova Sports TV.
All right, with the head football coach of the reigning three-time state champion Phoebus Phantoms, Jeremy Blunt, his team wins it 27-17 here in a packed house at Darling Stadium. Coach, this is what high school football is all about. You grew up in front of it, the rivalry games with Hampton and Phoebus today, Warwick, who you beat last year 10-2, and what can you say? It's 4th and 8 from your own 22, 3 minutes and change to go, and you decided not to punt and go for it, and Romeir Smith, Maurikus Banks, that made you look like a genius. Tell me about it.
Well, it was 3 minutes left, and I knew we wouldn't get the ball back. We didn't have enough time to stop it. We would have had to be perfect, and if we would have gotten the ball back, it would have been a situation where our back could have potentially been against the wall with very little time. So we prep for these moments throughout the practice week. We put these guys in unfavorable situations. We turn the heat up on them as coaches. We create environments to prepare them for these moments, man. So it's not by chance that they did what they did, man. We trusted them, and we took a shot.
Anybody that watched last year's 10-2 defensive grudge match and knowing how decorated these two defenses are with all the shutouts, few teams move the ball on either one of your defenses, they wouldn't have believed that we'd have two 50-yard-plus pass plays on 4th down in this game. How did you respond from the stun that they had? Because it felt like these championship moments and games you've been in before helped prepare you for this, right?
Well, number one, man, you got to tip your hat to the head coach and the coaching staff over at Warwick High School. Those guys, man, I've watched them play a clean game week in and week out this year. They have prepared their guys, man. We knew it was going to be a dogfight. They have some players that can flat out make you pay if you get caught sleeping. And that's what happened. We got caught sleeping, man. We thought we were in a good position. They dialed up a good play. Their kid went and executed it, man. And, they pushed us, man. They pushed us to the limit. And we enjoyed every minute of it. That's what football's all about.
Some will walk out here and say, my goodness, Phoebus left points on the field. They could have won this thing 35-7. You missed 3 field goals, which is not like you guys. But you finished +3 in the turnover category. You got picks from your linebackers, Brendan Thompson, Caleb Tillery, and the one that stood with Trent Mitchell. How big was that to win the turnover battle? Because if you cause mistakes, you guys generally capitalize on them.
Well, here's the thing, man. When you're playing in a dogfight, man, those situations are going to happen. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to play a perfect game. And when you do, then you light the scoreboard up. But when you see a score like this today, man, and 2 excellent teams on the field, 2 battle-tested teams on the field, two teams that are ready for a playoff push on the field, man, I mean, you expect it to end like this, man. So, hey, like I said, man, respect to their staff, their players, man, my guys and the fight that we put on. But the reality is, man, it's a championship game in the district. It's great for the city, the 2 cities. It's great for our district to show to the region and state that we still play great football. But it is a regular season game, and we have to. My staff, as well as I'm sure Warwick staff, have to put that into perspective. We got to get ready for the next week. So it's a great matchup, man, to almost cap the season, but we still got some work to do.
A couple more. Even after that thrilling 56-yard catch by Romeir Smith that answered not long after that 53-yard TD by Keon Batts, you still had to go score there because it is 17-14 them in the lead. You don't want to maybe have to kick a field goal if you could take the lead there. 3rd and 8 from the 9, I think it was. Tell me about the play there with Makai Hill from Maurikus Banks and your quarterback. He's got such poise, doesn't he?
Well, the thing was, man, we knew we dialed up a good play, man. They did some good stuff up front to kind of move and shift Maurikus in the backfield. Reek was able to move with his legs. He stayed poised. He kept his eyes downfield. He could have opted to run right there, but he didn't. He gave his guy a chance, and his guy did his job. Makai did his job.
Lastly, what do you take out of this? It is one more game to go regular season, and you're going for this quest of a 4-peat. The streaks continue. Those numbers are eye-popping, but I know you will, when you have a brief moment, you will be satisfied and enjoy just to savor this up and win it the way you did, right?
Well, we'll go back to the drawing board and look at some things that we need to work on. That's what you do, man. When you want to be great, when you want to continue to push towards that elite level, you work on little things, and your mistakes are first and foremost. So for us, we'll clean that stuff up. We'll take a deep breath. We'll get ourselves ready to, end the regular season versus Denby, who's also in a position for a playoff spot. So we're going to do what we need to do, keeping our eyes on the prize, keeping our eyes on the step-by-step process. We don't get too far ahead of ourselves.
They've still got championship medal at Phoebus. A great game today. Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you.
Good job. Appreciate it. I'll take Amir.
So that was Jeremy Blunt, head football coach of the Phoebus Phantoms. You see our IL Giardino Coach of the Week here, as he's got it 44 in a row and counting for the Phantoms, who, by the way, also remain number 1 in our latest VirginiaPreps.com Class 4 State Top 10. They've been there all season long. What about the other teams in that rankings? Well, we'll show them to you on our screen right now here on the Hash with Hatfield on Cova Sports TV. And you'll see it right now here as it is up on there on the screen. You can check this out for free. We got a lot of premium content for you on Virginia Preps as well. Phoebus at 9-0, Huguenot 2, Dinwiddie 3, John Champ 4, Verina 5, Tuscarora 6. Jefferson Forest got that big game with Liberty Christian. Salem at number 8, who's not projected to get a 1, 2, or 3 seed at the moment in Region 4D. John Hanley's got a key game this weekend with Sharando, who's honorable mention in our top 10. That will have some shakeup in the 4D playoff picture. In GW Danville right now at the inside track for the 4D 1 seed. They just beat Mecklenburg, who's trying to get that last seed, 46-27, and Jefferson Forest can certainly vault themselves ahead if they were to knock off Liberty Christian. Speaking of Liberty Christian, they remain number 1 in our Class 3 top 10. Lord Botetourt fell out by losing to Northside. You have Thomas Jefferson of Richmond getting that win, doubling up Armstrong, who dropped to number 8. Also dropping was Heritage of Lynchburg, who got beat by EC Glass 17-13, keeping their playoff hopes alive with that win in the Jug Bowl out there in Lynchburg. You also have in the rankings Turner Ashby, undefeated. Kettle Run, unbeaten. We talked about they can get a 1 seed if they win, and TJ was to lose to Colonial Heights. Allegheny, undefeated. What a year they've had with Desmond Jordan steering their attack at the quarterback spot. Abingdon looking like they'll be the number 1 seed right now in Region 3D. William Byrd got a win in overtime, checking in at number 10 in our honorable mentions in Class 3. Well, it's not Abingdon anymore. It's actually Magna Vista. That's a misprint there. We'll get that fixed for you in a little bit. But going up to the Class 5 and Class 6 rankings, Briarwoods lost to Stonebridge. They're not the number 1 seed right now in 5D. It's Riverbend who jumps in the top 10. Also falling out was Midlothian, who fell to Huguenot. Maury's still a very heavy favorite at number 1. Matoka, Green Run, flip-flops with Warwick, who lost. William Fleming, unbeaten they are. Chance to get their first ever undefeated regular season for Coach Nick Leftwich and the Colonels, led by the Syracuse committed running back in Malachi Coleman. You got Kings Fork, you got Granby, you got Cox, who's got that key game with Kempsville. Louisa, the Lions are starting to roar under Coach Will Patrick, led by Zavion Hyder and Dajier Carter. We've talked about them on our last IG Live special. 7 in a row, and counting, can make it 8 straight to close out the season in Riverbend. In Class 6, the big news that came out on Friday, Hayfield, who stays number 1 for now. We'll figure out what we do with them in the rankings, but the Hawks are ineligible for the playoffs. They appealed the decision by the Virginia High School League. They're out. A lot of players that had transferred over. In fact, the league said 15 student athletes who were on the roster for 2023 were not on the roster for 2024, and they got a bunch of transfers from Freedom of Woodbridge, 14 in fact total, 5 from private schools, 5 pre-9th grade students enrolled. They did appeal this decision a couple of different times, and it went before a subcommittee of the Virginia High School League, who said that they failed to uphold the spirit of all league rules and regulations. So a 2-year ban for them, and that means they will not be participating in the postseason. I know a lot of people are sad to see this for the likes of Jeff Overton Jr. and Isaiah French and the rest of those Hawks that are quite talented, many of whom will be playing at the next level in the very near future. But they denied the initial appeal, and then they went before the subcommittee that I believe was appointed by Dr. Billy Hahn, the retiring VHSL executive director, retiring, I believe, at the end of the school year or the summer coming up, and they will not be eligible. So this does put in line a lot of people thinking Oscar Smith from the 757 can go win the state championship at James Madison University in Harrisonburg on Saturday, December 14th. Got to get there first. That means they got to get a Region 6A. Madison and Battlefield, who have been in the state playoffs before, certainly a couple of candidates as well. They're 3-4 in the rankings. What about Washington Liberty? Maybe the best untold story in the state right now at 9-0, trying to cap a 10-0 season. Westfield has all of a sudden vaulted back up there in the rankings at number 6. They had the loss to begin the year to Patriot, who got picked off this past week by Garfield. Lost a close one to Madison. Bulldogs could be dangerous under first-year coach Scott Vossler in the Region 6D playoffs. Lake Braddock now probably becomes the favorite in Region 6C, the Occoquan region, who last year they fell to Highland Springs in the state semis. We still have the Springers highly ranked at number 7 despite the 3 losses. Then you got Stafford and Colonial Forge to close things up in the top 10 rankings. And to look at our Class 2 and Class 1 top 10s for you here, you're looking at Graham as the number 1 team, Poquoson at number 2. It's now 9-1, by the way. This hasn't been updated from the Thursday results. Clark County at number 3, Glenver, Buckingham, Strasburg, Union, Stewart's Draft, Riverheads, and Bruton would keep an eye on. A couple of teams here. Clark County, what a year they've had in Glenver with that quarterback. They had the 1 loss to Allegheny, but they're mighty, mighty tough. And then in Class 1, team to beat right now, looking more and more and more like it's going to be the Alta Vista Colonels, who are 9-0, just thumped Nelson County. Rye Cove, Rappahannock among the undefeated teams. Bath County also unbeaten. Interesting flip in Region 1C where Grayson County took down George Wythe last week. They're up to number 8. Holston's still red hot, and Honekar's got a quarterback in Peyton Musick who's putting up big numbers. So that's what it looks like in the state rankings there and the top 10s. As far as the power rankings go, I think we're interested to see what happens in some of these bigger games this week. You have across the 7-5-7, Granby taking on Maury. We like the Commodores a lot in that game. You got Jefferson Forest and Liberty Christian. Can there be a chink in the armor for Liberty Christian? Well, Jefferson Forest won a 38-31 game last week. That was a little bit of a eyebrow raiser, so maybe there could be some weaknesses with that defense that LCA can exploit. You've also got the big one in Richmond, Dinwiddie and Matulka, which will have ramifications not just in their 2 regions, but remember the power ratings will have impact on other schools they've played around the state too. So that's also something to keep an eye on. Those teams that are trying to get better seeds, it has a real shake on all of it. So a lot of the talk right now about Hayfield, we'll have some more reaction and thoughts to that. My quick thought on the Hayfield thing right now is people have talked about, the Virginia High School League, whether they should or shouldn't do this, the Fairfax County, what they didn't do, the players, the coaches, do you feel for them? Did they cheat? Whatnot? My big question right now I'll throw out to the people is, what happens to Hayfield's players that are eligible for All-State? Will the coaches go in there and deny them? Will they still get it because they didn't make the playoffs? What happens to those guys that put up these gaudy stats through 10 games? And you just say, well, forget about them because they didn't make the playoffs? And I don't think that's right either. So a lot of things that I think is going to be interesting to unpack here in the coming days as we get ready for the playoffs to be released coming up on Sunday by the Virginia High School League for all 24 regions and all 6 classifications. To finish up back in a 7-5-7 for a moment, games of the night, certainly the Maury-Granby game is the one people have their eyes on, but others. Can Lansdowne get in the playoffs? What's going to happen with that 3-team potential tiebreaker? Does Cox lock up the number 2 seed in 5A? We know Phoebus's future is set as the 1 seed. Dansman River probably going to get a 3 seed should they win. And could somebody else pull an upset tonight? I don't think there's going to be a lot of upsets. And if there are, I think most of them come outside of the 7-5-7 area code, to be perfectly honest with you all, as that's what it's looking like here. We'll be back with you. We'll try to do an IG Live special on Friday night after the games. No promises on that. We definitely will be on with 7-5-7 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV to get you taken care of with everything when it comes to the high school football picture and beyond. Big college football sports weekend too. And it's that time of year. Playoffs are here, so enjoy the action. Interact with us. Cova Sports TV is your place to get all the updates. We got the Neptune Bowl coming for you later this month, and we'll do it again with you coming up soon here, right here on Cova Sports TV. You've been watching On the Hash with Hatfield. Have a great sports weekend. See you next time.